Welcome to RPG Blokes, the podcast where we guide middle-aged newcomers as they take their first brave steps into the world of tabletop role-playing games. So whether you're curious, cautious, or completely new to the concept, we've got you covered. This week, we're diving into what we consider to be the ultimate gateway RPG, Dungeons & Dragons, and in particular 5th edition. But we're going to talk more generally about the phenomenon that is Dungeons & Dragons. It's a game that has introduced millions to the hobby, and if you're tuning in here, chances are it's the game you're eager to try. So we'll explore why D&D is such a great starting point for new players, what makes it so enjoyable, and why it's been such a positive force for the hobby as a whole. Introducing the RPG Blokes. Stephen is the only one amongst us who has played every edition of D&D. From the early 80s until this very day, he has never been found more than 10 metres from a player's handbook.
True fact.
Yeah.
You can Wikipedia that.
John started playing D&D before all of us. Impressive. Although, now I think of it, considering his age, he started doing everything before all of us.
Harsh but fair.
Barry, a self-proclaimed rules lawyer, now with an impressive 5 years full-time experience playing D&D, but 0 hours as a DM, and obviously worried about what he's got coming to him.
I worry about nothing.
I got ahead of myself a bit here, and I've come up with 20 reasons why D&D is great, and I just want to run through them with you, blokes, and get your take on them. That pretty much covers everything we need. If I've missed anything, you can obviously say, and it'll come up, I'd imagine, as we're talking about them in turn. Number one, the rich heritage.
It is the OG, as the kids would say. I think that means original. It's one that everyone else is based on, really. It's the original role-playing game. So everyone has taken a leaf out of their book and created their own. But yeah, I mean, 50 years, I believe. So you can't argue with that sort of history. I mean, that is a lot of playtesting.
Yeah, that as a new player coming into it as a middle-aged bloke, Barry, did you pick up on that? Do you sense that about it?
So, immediately, one of the things that I noticed about Dungeons & Dragons as a completely new player was, it's polished. The resources are beautiful, the books are gorgeous. Everyone who's sat around a table and rolled some dice has at least some kind of knowledge of it working and how it works as a system. I wasn't aware of its history. It was obvious that it was established and polished. When, a DM would open their campaign book, I did find myself quite often distracted by the cover. Oh, that's pretty. In terms of the package, it's all there.
For the rare few that had an interest in fantasy and stuff like way back, definitely a breath of fresh air. For all that we love Tolkien, it's very dry. Whereas D&D gave everyone an opportunity to express whatever they felt.
Tolkien was far closer to the hobby than it feels now.
It was direct.
It was direct, yeah.
That's copyright for you.
Yeah, so moving on to point 2, it's a pop culture icon. So D&D has become synonymous with geek culture, referenced in shows like Stranger Things, The Big Bang Theory, and so on. And so you're going to encounter it and know about it. Pretty much everybody knows what D&D is. I mean, they might not understand exactly how it's played. The public awareness of it is huge.
Stranger Things was a big deal. That was a really, really clever bit of marketing. You could play the kids from Stranger Things' character. They did like a Stranger Things starter set. You didn't play the kids, you played the character that the kids were playing in their campaign. They came as pre-genned.
I didn't realise that was what it was.
No, it's a really, really clever little... And, Stranger Things was utterly brilliant and remains so for me. It's an absolute banger.
Yeah, I mean, it's positively portrayed in the media. Back in the 80s, I guess it was the opposite. They had programs that portrayed players as devil worshippers. But now when it's in Stranger Things, you think, well, cool.
It's quite a turnaround.
It is a massive turnaround.
Can I just say I've been, consistently disappointed by the lack of devil worship. I thought I was getting into some kind of debauched cult. But
you haven't been initiated yet, that's all that is.
Oh, my God, I haven't earned it.
But you never played when you were in your youth.
Even in my youth, I was fairly cynical, and it was blindingly obvious to anyone with half a brain that this was not a cult and not devil worship, and the way that the Christian conservatives pounced upon it. I respected it for pissing the Christian conservatives off. I'm like,
but that attracted you to the game.
And so, obviously, I didn't play it when I was a kid, so it didn't attract me enough to play it. But it certainly made me think. I think it's unlikely that that's the work of the fucking devil.
It's unlikely it's done this game any harm either, has it? Putting it that way, it would have been more appealing to people to kind of get involved with something that might be slightly forbidden.
Oh, no such thing as bad publicity, right?
And in a way, that had to be forced, didn't it? That narrative did need to be forced for it to become such a pop culture icon now and be so clearly understood and accepted. And, you buy these things for your children without any second thought.
Yeah, and it has become very much mainstream. More than even it was in the heyday in the 80s. I think it's become even more. I mean, it is like the second golden era of D&D. And I would say it's bigger than the first.
I think so. We were recently at the MCM London Comic Con. Never seen so much Dungeons and Dragons at these events before.
Well, video games as well has kind of pushed that forward. Baldur's Gate 3 that you say I'm like the expert of.
Yeah. The next thing I've got here is blockbuster films. Okay. In our experience, not all D&D films have been blockbusters.
Well, there's been 2, isn't there? There's
At least 4.
Oh, okay. I didn't know 2. The Jeremy Irons 2000.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
which was awful.
Okay. I don't know the other ones.
I can tell you.
Go on, John.
Okay, so you had that one, Blue Lipstick. Amadar, was it? Appeared as like some weird background NPC for the second one, which was much more a quest-based traditional D&D. It was actually quite good, but low budget. Most people have never heard of it.
No, I never heard.
The third one went off an interesting tangent. It was a good guy of a knightly order who infiltrated an evil party. And the fun part about that movie was recognising the spells because they were accurate to the source material. And it was a really good story. Well worth a watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, the latest film, right? Fantastic. Really got it. I mean, for us as well, we're quite demanding. We would want this to be quite accurate, like you say, in that respect. We want to see spell effects and things like that. It was a real pleasant surprise how good it was.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was, I believe the expression is, it was a romp. It had the right amount of comedy in it, and like you say, you kind of recognise the spells, although there was artistic license used.
If you hadn't played it before, perhaps this movie would be one of the reasons why you're listening to us. It's great to see your hobby, if you're a veteran or you played it, to be able to go to the movies and see something that connects with you just that much. Yeah. You'll have that experience in the future. You start playing now, then the next D&D film comes out.
If you are a fan of any fantasy fiction genre, you will recognise bits of it in D&D. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a D&D branded movie. You watch Conan the Barbarian, you're like, well, yeah, that could be a campaign.
So that does move on to the fourth point, which is inspired countless stories. So it's influenced other franchises. Like you say, you're going to describe Conan. There's others, right?
They sort of dropped the ball with Ready Player One. Heavily influenced by D&D.
Yeah.
And they completely...
Spielberg did it, didn't he? I think he only got rights for certain things, didn't they? They even put things about The Shining in, didn't they? To sort of like fill these gaps. So they got the rights to certain things that they owned, maybe as a studio, and then went with those.
Yeah, that's a huge chunk.
We'll move on to literature as well. So you've got tie-in novels. So
I read them.
Seriously high quality books as well.
Yeah, but there are certain ones that have stood the test of time, and they would be the Dragonlance books by Wise and Hickman and the Dritz books by R.A. Salvatore.
Now, the library must be huge. John, if you read a lot. Check out RPG Blokes Plus. It's our premium service where we give you the opportunity to help pay our bills. And we'll guarantee you an episode every week, exclusive live plays and interviews. Now that's got to be worth £3 of anyone's money.
RPG Blokes Plus. Regular episodes for a regular you.
I mean, I read a lot of D&D stuff back then. The Moonshade trilogy.
Yeah.
That was my particular favourite. That really hit with me.
Awesome.
The Icewind Dale stuff, that was nice. I've lost track of the Dritz stuff because I haven't been reading D&D.
It's like 30 books he's done them all, something like that, yeah.
But I really enjoyed those when they started off. I liked the little quotes, little diary entries at the beginning of each chapter. They were particularly good. And I remember that more than I do the story.
But this is all there for you to read, and we find new players come in quite often and they sit at the table, and even the modern games in the modern version of Dungeons and Dragons, they are set in these worlds where the literature is already there. And you kind of suggest to them, or they ask, going, what can I read? And you just say, well, read this. I mean, you know you're doing them a favour. There is, with Dungeons & Dragons, we've already pointed this out, a vast library of content. So decades of official material provide endless inspiration for campaigns. So we've got a system here which, you can never, ever play everything that's there. It's just, that's a bonus, right? Because you've got that depth of quality and material. You know that you can make a lot of choices. Once you've started playing it, you can start to dive deeper into the areas, even back into the old PDFs that are still available online to buy. So it's not something that many other systems can bring to the table.
There's a huge depth to D&D for sure, yeah. If you want to delve really back in the past, that you can update to the new edition or 5th edition. And a lot of the time they've done it themselves. A lot of the old scenarios have been repurposed, like the Curse of Strahd, which we probably rate as one of the best, as originally was their 1st edition game, then a 2nd edition game. They did a bit in 3rd, and now it's a 5th edition game, which they've put together. So there's plenty of back material.
And it's been brought together just so masterfully. And John, you're somebody that likes to delve back into previous editions and into libraries for systems. D&D offers you that.
Yeah. I still like crossing over and stuff like that, but when you look at the older editions, and a lot of it's memory lane because we were actually there, and you see how things have changed and progressed. Sometimes they shouldn't just reskin everything and just slap a price tag on it. You want to change it, update it, actually make it worth the reinvestment of time and money when you get some of these things. Some of them are great. Some of them are just money sinks.
But of all the systems that are able to bring things out of the back catalogue and do exactly that, D&D and Wizards of the Coast had the resources to do it and get it right, as you just suggested with the Ravenloft. It is just that.
Yeah, they've got
the resources, again, it's a case-by-case basis.
So, for instance, I would say with Ravenloft, the 5th edition version, it does really in some ways just scratch the surface of what lies underneath. And especially with 2nd edition, the amount of material, the Van de Victen's guides, the additional monster compendiums, the islands that were further detailed, the 40 or 50 scenarios, the individual modules that you
There
could
is a
get.
Van Richten's 5th edition supplement
guide. That really scratches the surface. But that
did, because 2nd edition was huge.
Yeah.
And it's
it does so brilliantly well, but if you want more, it's there. So moving on to the 8th point is balance of simplicity and depth. D&D offers simple rules for beginners with layered complexity for experienced players. And Barry, I know this is a part of the system that you appreciate. And
I mean, you don't have to do a lot of sums. It's like you roll a dice and then you add 3 or 4 to it. It is pretty easy in terms of that stuff. I think the DM has to do a little bit more, but generally speaking, it's an easy rule set,
Yeah, and it's very accessible, but it's also complex. So, Stephen, I just come to you here because you've often described D&D as a simple game, and I think, we're not talking about any particular edition of it, and we know that the latest edition is far more simple than the previous ones.
I would describe it as the least crunchy version of D&D that's ever been, which makes it more simple to play. And I'm talking about simple in the way it flows, really. Previous editions, you'd add numbers to get bigger numbers, and they've kind of stripped that all out and replaced it with more simpler mechanics, but in which case it is a fairly lightweight rule system when you at the surface of it, but you can potentially delve a little bit deeper underneath it.
Yeah, exactly the point. It does that well. So the 9th point is endless replayability, as a modular system ensures every campaign feels unique, even when revisiting similar themes. So in a previous podcast, 2 of us said that if they were left with only one system on a desert island, it would be D&D.
Yeah, I did pick it as my one pick because of that, really. Yeah, it doesn't try to specialise entirely in one area.
In comparison to other systems, really.
Yeah, so lots of other systems kind of focus very sharply on one style of play or one type of scenario. And D&D, it doesn't. No, it tries to be a bit of everything.
Because we played D&D for 40 years, right? So that is endless replayability. Barry, you feel that way about it too? I mean,
I feel like even in the 5 years I've been playing, I've scratched the surface of terms of races, class, character. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've played a barbarian twice, and I still feel like I've only scratched the surface of playing a barbarian.
Yeah,
the amount that even once you've chosen a character class, the amount of choice you have then within that, there's a lot to explore and enjoy. I mean, I think you can make an argument for lots of games being endlessly playable if you've got someone who's, prepared to homebrew stuff constantly. But in terms of, endlessly playable off the shelf, I think D&D's nailed it.
Some people only ever play D&D, and that's the way they'll always be engaged with the hobby, and they're not looking to do anything. They're perfectly happy.
And that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. It's I like a little departure with another system every now and then, but like I say, quite often for me, that's just a little break. Yeah. It's just something different before I get back to a D&D campaign.
And we find that with most people that are coming into the hobby through our community, that they want to play D&D, and even if they've already played it and you offer them something different, they're unlikely to want to play anything else. And that's fine. I wouldn't criticise that at all. It's the power of D&D, something we're all beholden to and we're grateful for, so that we're bringing new people into our hobby.
There was a campaign I watched, I think it was 3rd edition, and someone had reskinned D&D with not many variables. They kept the system, and they was doing a Stargate campaign. Really good.
Yeah, okay.
You don't have to redesign everything from scratch. You just adapt feats and such like. Another one, an official release was, again, 3rd edition, and it was Judge Dredd.
Oh, that's a bit of me, that is.
Yeah.
We have to make that happen at the club, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's just fucking not optional. If that doesn't happen, I will cry and throw up.
This is the open game license. If people are using, so basically 5th edition D&D rules to make their own games up, which has been throughout, since D&D began, people have been doing that from 3rd edition stuff. The D20 system, it used to be called, allowed anyone to make up games based on the D20 system, which is the D&D system.
And that still applies to the latest edition.
Yeah, they tried to make it not apply, but caveat. I don't blame them too much, but the caveat what can be used as an open game license and restrict it and what they can earn from it. But people are free to currently, I believe, to make up a game based on the 5th edition rules.
Yeah, fantastic.
They brought out, I think it was official, a D20 system for Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, it was good.
But you've got a lot of variables there that really have to be redefined.
But it was written by Monty Cook. Did you ever play it? It was great, actually. Monty Cook's brilliant when it comes down to. He was really, really loved Cthulhu. And
was that Cthulhu Modern?
Yeah, it was modern. It was in the 1920s as well. But
it's a massive restructure to do another system for that.
Well, the Judge Dredd thing worked, because just for the record, there is a Judge Dredd RPG. Games Workshop released that a while ago. I've got the old box of it, but they're re-releasing it now. The developers I spoke to at Dragon Meet last year, so by this year I think they've probably got it all out. And
if you were just making a game for you and your mates, you can use any mechanics you like. If you're homebrewing, pick your favourite mechanics.
Yeah, and D&D is lending itself to be that mechanic for all games.
I mean, I think it's worth saying as well, when I've met people that said there is a system that they would never play, quite often that's D&D.
Old timers, you're talking about.
Old timers, when I've had people say to me, people are married to that system. There's plenty better out there. I'll never play it again. And it's like, fair play to you, bruv. But I am playing it.
But they've gone through 35
maybe.
years.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
I found 4th edition to be a nightmare. That's common with most systems I've found. But 4th ed was.
We've all got our favourite edition of D&D, and maybe we'll ask that at the end, just to say.
Some of us have got our only edition of D&D.
But this is not really talking and breaking down the different editions. We're just talking about the D&D in general and why we think it is the best gateway system for you. So, number 10, the diverse character creation. Players can craft heroes tailored on their personalities, play styles, and creativity. So, Barry, you've already touched on this. The variation is enough for you to think, I can still play a barbarian for the 3rd time and I'm going to get something else out of this.
Absolutely. Because obviously, as your character develops, you make certain choices in what direction that character's going. And I do think there's enough of those to mean that you can play the same class over and over again and still end up with a completely different guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of your skills and attributes are obviously going to carry over. You're going to have your rages, you're going to have, if you're a warlock, you're going to have your Eldritch Blast. No one plays a warlock and doesn't pick Eldritch Blast. I might do that now. I've suggested it. I do think there's enough in there for you to keep going and keep going and keep going. And actually, like I said, I only own the player's handbook.
Yeah, and look how much fun you've had out of it.
Exactly. Exactly.
If there's something there you don't like, it is fairly easy to make your own.
Yeah, so you're
stuff
talking
like
about
that.
looking at some what we would call monster races and using those as player characters. Yeah, you
I
often
think
find
that was third edition that started that.
Yeah, they all
Wasn't
do it,
it?
won't they? Yeah.
The gnome got bounced around as a adventurer to a monster to.
And come to the next point then, I suppose, iconic monsters, because the D&D's bestiary is legendary. Everybody kind of knows them. You've got the basics, but they've even created their own monsters now that become household names.
Trademarked. Beholders are beholders, aren't they? You can have monsters with round and eyeballs, but you can't call them beholders.
Introducing my behider.
But he's yeah, I mean, they are iconic. They know they're iconic, and people want to use them, but they can't.
Well, I hope they don't come too precious about them.
This is the trade-off as well, isn't it? Because, D&D's huge and Hasbro even huger, but they are doing a good job. And I do understand that, they're in it for the money. This is a business. See, as long as they're not doing it in like a super draconian way.
That would be unpleasant. They're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? People like us that played as children, invested our time and imagination into these monsters, in particular as we're talking about monsters, and elevated them alongside the Medusa or the Hydra or things that really existed within mythology. And we give them equal billing, and that is there's something that they should be very privileged to have that in their ownership, because it was created by people in the 70s, 80s that come up with these modules that become larger than life, really. And there's a great responsibility with that, I think. And hopefully they don't just callously and heartlessly monetize, because I think they belong to us. They do, I think, as old-time players, these things belong to us.
I think there was a certain game designer or game company who tried to trademark orcs. Fuck off.
That's a tricky one.
Who might that
Far
be?
too widespread. Well, I don't know if we want to.
Wasn't it
point
orcs with a K, though? They're orcs. I mean,
It doesn't matter.
they're just trying to grab these things for themselves, where they belong to everybody. And D&D is so old and so ingrained in the hobby and in the culture that separating that and claiming ownership over it is quite, I think, aggressive. And hopefully they don't overdo that.
But like you said, if someone comes up with something and publishes it and puts physical time that they're paying people to do these, they should get paid. That's
absolutely.
But stopping someone from
it's
doing
just something
something
like when
is
you like the
bad.
Critical Role people come up with a new role playing game, they can't have beholders and owlbears in it because they're trademarked, but they might want to.
There was the spin-off from Warhammer and
Spyhander.
and it was. I mean, it was good. It was a nice read. It was very pretty and all that. But just slightly changing stuff so it is uncomfortably familiar. I didn't like it.
It was too derivative, and I found that too. The system, would have been great. It's a pity that it wasn't Warhammer 4th edition, and that was the system for Warhammer 4th edition. But they didn't. They never met.
I don't know if it's unique, but it's kind of interesting, isn't it? That I have a very strong sense of community from this hobby. But as a business venture, as someone who's trying to make money, exploiting that sense of community is something that worries me a little bit. Like, they could go too far for me, where I might say, well, that's it, I'm not playing that again, because that's just a fucking money grab. That finding that balance for when you're providing a hobby for a community, but also trying to make a buck, there is always the risk that you're just going to push it that little bit too far, and the community will turn against you.
They did.
They did. I remember.
They are doing so. Yeah. So if you're listening, Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, we have feelings. Don't do this to us.
And we are not above revenge.
The name for that is, I think, Pathfinder.
He did it. He went there.
Is that the ultimate fuck you?
Can someone explain that to me then?
Well, it's the open game license, wasn't it? And people could make their own versions of the system. And Piezo did a game called Pathfinder, which was based on the 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons rule set, which ironically had become more popular than Dungeons and Dragons. So they made a shed load of money out of it, which is kind of what was inspired them, I think, to kind of try and clamp down a little bit that Piezo were making so much money out of their IP. So, 5th edition come along and they managed to wrestle back the control of it. I guess that's the long and short of it.
Okay.
In brilliant fashion.
Yeah.
Because Pathfinder has gone by the wayside.
Yeah.
What a spectacular success 5th edition D&D has been. Unbelievable.
And back control.
Unbelievably positive for the hobby, because we get so many people coming in just simply because of that system. They're not coming in blind. They're coming in wanting to do this. And
No, and I think you need to acknowledge and give credit for that as well. It's like, if something's bringing people into the hobby, then by and large, you've got to think it's a good thing. And you can talk about the nuances and, business practices and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, if it's bringing people through the doors, then, you're doing a good job. Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't push your luck, though.
No, that's right. I think so. Yeah. So moving on, the combat system in D&D is fast-paced yet tactical. It's quite streamlined. Not many people complain about the D&D combat system.
I think it's one of the most streamlined ones. I've played other games that you get real bogged down in combat with dice rolls and dice pools and stuff. You got one dice and you add a number to it. It's probably as simple as you can get. Combats can take a while, but
that's more to do with how many players at the table.
More to do with the player count,
But Barry, you've said you prefer a system with sort of an opposed dice roll. D&D doesn't have that, but
don't get me wrong, I think the D&D combat system is absolutely brilliant. The people that design these things know much better than I do. But it did occur to me that when I was playing Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay and the opposed roles were introduced to me, I was like, okay, so this has added a layer of complexity, but I think it's also added something positive. So it's like, I think you can streamline too much. I'm not saying that D&D has. I think D&D work. The combat rules work really well. Once you've had a few combat encounters, you know what you're doing. You've got it down. But it's just finding that balance between like streamlined play and an element of realism. I think I like the opposed role thing.
Yeah, so D&D doesn't have that. But then I think you have to. Your hit points are a resource. And you do take good care of them because of that, and make some maybe choices that you can't just walk into something and think, I can dodge everything. I'm just gonna. I like it. It works, and also because you got the long rest and short rest dynamic, which allows you to reset and start again, and it makes sense because you're losing your hit points sometimes against kind of all odds or unfairly. It's nice to know, all I've got to do is survive. I can get out of this now and then come back strong again tomorrow. I think it's just very streamlined. It's just quick and it's just moving you forward.
There's a reason it works. We play, like I said, Warhammer and Call of Cthulhu, and you can get whopped, and that's your character out in like real game time for a week or more. I mean, Dragon Warriors, again, another favourite system, but the healing as written, like 1 health point, I think, for the week, or it is closer to real, but it doesn't lend itself to adventuring. So I get why D&D does what it does.
There are optional rules actually in the DMG that you can be more realistic. Yeah,
I'm cherry picking. It's a fantasy. It's not going to be realistic, but it's something that you see in films as well. It's like, someone has the absolute crap kicked out of them, yet somehow after a good night's sleep, they're ready to go and fight again.
It's a high fantasy.
Or they're just young.
But if you're trying to tell a story, stuff like that makes absolute sense, because otherwise the story gets crippled. I don't need it to be hyper realistic. I mean, I don't want to start paying taxes and having a fucking job.
Okay.
People who've only ever played D&D probably don't know what they're getting there. It's the modern type of role-playing game where you're always strong, you're always youthful, you're always at your full potential. And you don't really want to be in times where you're stuck in the doldrums. This system doesn't allow you to feel that way. It kind of brings you back up to full vitality, and then the next challenge.
Warhammer's crit tables, where you can have a favourite character gradually whittled away, literally piece by piece over the weeks. You don't want him to die. You've invested time and effort
Spend a fucking fate point, damn it.
If you can. But sometimes it's not enough, and you've got your one-armed adventurer, and you love that.
So streamlined combat, and the next one is clear progression system. Leveling up feels rewarding with meaningful gains in power, skills, and abilities. So it's just really cleverly done. You always look forward to it. It never gets boring, and there's enough variety in it that I never quite know what I'm going to get from my next level until I'm there with it. It's complex enough to keep me engaged on it.
Yeah, I mean, D&D has two methods, doesn't it, of advancement, which is the accumulation of experience or just milestones. That's the one, which can make it flow a lot easier than not.
Yeah, the milestone route to experience at certain points within the story, you will just be told you've gone up a level, so you're not micromanaging your progression. Yeah, milestones become pretty much what D&D is about now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is easier, isn't it? Even though you do go up levels quicker than in previous editions, in 5th edition D&D. But yeah, milestones does make it easier. And as a DM, you get the pace of the scenario a bit easier than if people are going up around about the same sort of time as each other. Because you do, especially if you split the experience between different characters at different points, then you get different characters going up at different times.
I do feel milestone is, from a player's point of view, milestone feels much fairer, especially if you're a player like me that works shifts and misses the occasional session. You know, if you're doing XP, I'm immediately at a disadvantage because I've got a crappier job than you.
Yeah.
Crappier job than you.
That was a brave decision by
that's
Mark to do XP on that one. And very strict on it. If you don't turn up, you don't get XP. Oh, wow, that's old school.
I did do that.
That's very old school.
Why did I do that? Because what I did was when players weren't there, their characters disappeared. There was
some could be still gaining experience while they disappeared.
I tried narratively to make them disappear, but when a combat round is 6 seconds and they might be tying their shoelaces around the corner for 30 seconds. That's it. They're out of the combat.
Itself, isn't it?
Yeah. John, what do you prefer? Because D&D gives you the options, doesn't it? But it has become very much a milestone XP experience now for most people playing.
Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff I run is XP, so it is incremental rather than one big burst. Arguments for both. It's down to your personal preferences. If you're doing a campaign, try it differently. Try the first couple of levels on individual XP awards. It's a bit more work for the ref. There's different ways of doing it. There can be, no XP if you don't turn up, but the character should get XP if they're NPC'd and their abilities are being used. It helps the ref with milestone. You can predict the power level that the characters are going to be able to bring to bear.
Yeah. Old school D&D used to be you killed the monster, you get the XP. So things have changed a bit since then. It has.
Most of the time that got converted to being shared amongst anyone that joined in. But there was a thing. So they had different XP levels. So a rogue would rocket up in levels, but overall the power level wasn't there with that level increase. Whereas a wizard, strong wind, kills them first level. That's it, you're done. D4, trip on a leaf. But later on, they get, wish.
It's been honed over many generations of this game, and the progression system in modern D&D system is at its best. It's
certainly nothing wrong with the way that D&D reconciles levelling up. It is very streamlined. It's very simple. And you're right, you do really look forward to it. I think our DM a few weeks ago forgot to kind of tell us that we'd levelled up, and we got it on a message via Discord. And I had a bit of a spring in my step for the rest of the day, in my normal life. And that was a bit I was I was leveled up. That was a nice bit of news to get.
It's a lovely feeling.
Yeah, it really is.
That works really well. And you lose a bit of that when you're doing incremental advancement.
Yeah, I suppose it can be a grind.
I was going to say, obviously, games like Warhammer, when you've got you get experience per session, you sort of then you can build your character. I find that when I'm DMing those sort of games, everyone becomes very specialist in the scenario you're doing right there. So everyone picks the skills just to do exactly what they're doing for that very moment. And everyone becomes an expert of this campaign right then.
So moving on to the next one. This is one of my favourite things about D&D actually, and if I don't really want to teach Wizards of the Coast how to monetize what they've got, but at the moment in the current edition, this is seriously underemphasized. The magic system, not the spells for the characters so much, but just everything else. The magic items in particular. But the magic system is massive, and magic in D&D allows for endless creativity and tactical depth. But you've also got a huge amount of objects, again iconic objects that exist within the D&D universe. And when I say about the latest edition, you're not quite so. That excitement of going up a level, that used to be quite similar to getting a magical item. I mean, it never that's gone from the game a little bit, and I think the system, because it's empowered players so much, it no longer encourages that kind of.
I think maybe the general sort of response to getting a magic item is definitely not as excited as what I used to get when I get magic items, because you get a lot of your abilities now when you go up a level. You've got all these kind of superhero kind of abilities of halving damage, doubling your damage, doing extra D10s on top of your damage, and plus 10s here, plus 10s there. That you used to get those through magic items, like getting your +5 sword or your kind of invisibility cloak.
They're all still there.
They're there,
endless
but
potions, endless cloaks, rings, rods, staves.
I love
whatever.
them. I do love them, but it's kind of become less important now because they do replicate a lot what the powers already have in the characters. Yeah,
but let's look at the spell book, for instance, and a lot of other systems. Your spell list, your options are very limited because it's quite, I think, intensive on game building and system building to kind of flesh out a large amount of spells and integrate them within the system in a balanced way. D&D, there's, let's say, hundreds in the introduction to this section, but there's, look, you could argue thousands of spells if you look back throughout all of the previous editions. Yeah. And the magic system itself is absolutely unbeatable, I think, as a system. Even my favourite system, Warhammer, it's always struggled with its magic system. I find most other systems do.
The writers for that are usually quoted as when they're asked what's the best thing about Warhammer, and they'll say something. It'll be the world building story. What's the worst thing about the system? It's always magic.
It is magic, and D&D just does it so incredibly well. But what would you say to the, shall we call it the Eldritch Blast dilemma, which...
Pew, 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 pew. That's what I say.
It's just a cantrip, right? So it don't matter. So
it's the one spell that you just migrate to. And I suppose it's, maybe they regret that spell was the case. I wonder if they do. It's just given the Warlocks just the Eldritch Blast, and it's so good and so versatile. That's what you use and nothing else. Maybe they will. Or maybe the next edition they need to remove Eldritch Blast and see all the Warlocks going, what?
People who have a downer on Eldritch Blast just
aren't Warlocks.
Well, it's really good fun. And the fact that you only get 2 spell slots, I think they had to do something. I think when you're looking at, and we've talked about, the balance comes up quite a lot. And I think they had to do something for the Warlock to mitigate the fact that you only get 2 spell slots. Now, I know you get them back on a short rest, but... there are times where you might go for 3 entire sessions without getting a short rest in. In the middle of a dungeon crawl, you don't get a short rest. You don't get any kind of rest. So I understand why people say it's broken, because it is super powerful. I mean, I think it's a great cantrip.
There are other cantrips available. You've got to say that.
Yeah. And I have some of those as well. I have some of those as well.
I liken it to just swinging a sword, right? So fire never gets bored by doing that, and you've got that's your primary weapon.
Yeah, I never get bored of shooting people in the face with my finger.
And you're floating on an ocean in a small little boat, and underneath you, within the D&D universe and all of the systems and everything that's gone before it, there's just an endless amount of options, and they're there. And I think Wizards of the Coast potentially might want to have a look deeper into their catalogue of what they can bring out there, because, as I say, that we've never, in all our years, have we come across a spell that breaks the system? Have we? I don't know.
Wish, I suppose, comes closest, but
you complained about that in the 5th edition.
Well, I didn't complain. I thought it was fun. It just changed the dynamic of the game somewhat, because they can sort of wish themselves through that kind of part of the scenario as such, but then it can create other complications by doing so. But you've got to be on the ball with that. You've got to be expecting it.
But again, I think that's the sort of thing that comes down to having a good DM. Like, if you've got something that's really OP, I might introduce some consequences. When you look at like the genie and the wishes thing as well, that's something you have to be really, really careful with. I wish you could make me a woman, and instead of being provided with a woman, you are turned into a woman. Wish, I think, I don't know anything about the spell, but certainly like philosophically, wish can go fucking horrendously wrong.
I love that you said that was horrendously wrong, not I'm good with it.
So not horrendously wrong, but not what you expected or wanted.
Yes.
Barry would like to apologise to all transgender people.
Everyone here.
Listen, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm the least likely person here that's going to have to apologise to a transgender person.
Apart from just now.
And there's a great example of how we just forget about real life and talk about the game, and that is exactly what this game is all about, forgetting about all of those hang-ups. So talking about wish and the consequences of badly wording your wish, that is a problem for DM, because you're either giving them everything you want, or you're basically fucking them up. Yeah. And also, look, we're talking about a single spell amongst thousands of others, and we could carry on talking about this spell, because that's the brilliance of this system, that there's so many spells like this, and it's the best magic system of all. And I don't think they play into that strength well enough or publicize that as a selling point for the system, but I think it's one of the best for me. The next one, we're on 15, by the way, supports all play styles. Whether you love combat, exploration, or role-playing, the system adapts to suit your focus. So we did cover this in a previous podcast, just how versatile D&D is as well when you're thinking about what styles are going to play.
It was my desert island game, wasn't it? So
yeah,
says it all.
Can I change my mind? I'm now going on record.
It was just me and Barry.
You get the spin-off podcast.
Yep.
Yeah, financed by Wizards of the Coast.
Thank you. In advance.
It's like you are like the George Michael of... No, that was only two of them.
I don't know where this is going at all.
You was cool, where?
Oh, no. You're like the Harry Styles of the RPG Blokes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take that.
Okay. Right. We'll stop gushing about D&D or glazing, as the young uns call it. John, you don't like that expression?
That. I love that expression.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly. Don't use that word.
Just Google it, children.
Don't Google it, children.
That's why we're explicit, guys, because of this person here.
He refs children, folks.
He's handing himself in.
He refs my children.
Yeah. And where did I first hear that phrase?
Yeah, but you do know what they meant by it and what you think.
Actually, I didn't.
Oh, is it too late to stop him DMing to our kids?
Yes.
Well, 6 years too late, isn't it?
We'd have to erase their memories, put them through therapy.
No, that's it.
Supports long-term play. The system is designed for campaigns spanning years, creating deep player investment. So I think that D&D, if I'm going to sit down and play a campaign, like something 15 to 18 months, D&D would be the system I go to.
I'll come for you, John.
Yeah, no.
They got here quick.
They did. It's fair enough.
No, someone was listening.
Take them away. I think it works brilliantly for campaign play, and not everybody wants to play games for 15 to 18 months. But if you do want to,
part-timers,
D&D is a brilliant system to do that with.
I think one of D&D's strengths is in its versatility. That I've played some epic D&D one shots. I've played some epic 6-session D&D games. And I've played a campaign that's gone on for 18 months. You know, I do think it works at all three of those.
Yeah, just as well.
Just as well. Just as well. I've enjoyed short, medium, and long sessions playing D&D.
Part-timers. 2-3 years, that gives you an excellent arc. You can explore the characters. And again, it's not all about just the story as written. You want to engage the players. You want their characters dragging their asses through the mindscape of the world that you're effing in, and that's what I'm after.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't like high power stuff. I get all the people that do, and that's great. Nah.
I'm with you. I don't think I've ever had every campaign I've played, we've started at level 1. I think I'm right in saying I don't think I've gone any higher than level 12. I think if you're playing something for 3-4 years, then I would expect to get up to really high levels. But for me, I feel like kind of a year to 18 months is the optimal amount of time for me to play a campaign.
Yeah, I think most of those modern campaigns now for D&D are set for that length of time.
Yeah.
The level up as a reward or a target can change the dynamic of the game. Can advance the plot. It can completely sidestep it. You might get no XP because you're just going off on a tangent or something.
A bit like you right now, I think.
Yeah, probably. It's difficult to do a hard and fast guide on that. But
so 17, adaptable to any setting. While rooted in fantasy, it's used to run games in any world. So D&D does have a number of different settings. Stephen, what's your favourite D&D world?
Probably Forgotten Realms, but closely followed by Dragonlance. Those two, yeah.
But your favourite genre is horror, so Ravenloft must be in there too.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about Ravenloft. Ravenloft is a world in between, but yeah, I love Ravenloft. Yeah, those three. Yeah. We'll add those three then.
Okay, John, your favourite D&D worlds?
Well, probably the setting is Moonshades, but
Forgotten Realms. Yeah,
I've often fancied Spelljammer. I think that would be a better for a one shot for me. I just want to experience it. Dragonlance I really liked because it had the focus, it had the campaign, There was much more structure to it. Ravenloft, again, I love to read about it. You won't get me back there.
For me, I liked, in the past, I liked Al-Qadim, which was
It's never come back, has it?
the Arabian Nights type. Yeah, that's not
It was
been
Dark
brought back.
Sun. The other one was it?
Dark Sun was survival horror, really, for D&D.
It was Mad Max
More or less,
in D&D.
Yeah, and I didn't really go with that. Planescape was
It
a
didn't
little
have
bit...
the world building, did it? It was...
Yeah.
They had examples and cities and odd bits.
And you need lots of water. Yeah.
Water was resource management with water. So I liked Al-Qadim, and I like Ravenloft and Dragonlance too, and Forgotten Realms too. And Barry, it's obviously your insight on this not going to be so deep, but you played Forgotten Realms mostly. Are there any of the other worlds that we've mentioned that you would potentially think, that...
With the exception of Ravenloft, I didn't know what any of them were.
Okay.
So no.
No, okay.
I suppose I'm looking forward to finding out. I mean, this is one of the things that I do like about it. Every time I sit down at a table with a different group of players and a slightly different setting and maybe a different world, it is different. It's sufficiently different to be refreshing and start again. Do you know what I mean? It's like there is enough material there for me to know that the next one's going to be just as good as the last one was.
Yeah. Okay, we're to the last three. So iconic fantasy archetypes. It embraces classic fantasy tropes like elves, dwarves, and dragons, while allowing unique interpretations. And I suppose where we're talking about ownership and IP, this is something that Wizards of the Coast cannot unpick from what they have. So it muddies the water a bit for them, doesn't it? Because you can't, like you suggested, Games Workshop have tried to copyright orcs. No, you can't be doing that, right? There's a lot of what D&D offers to you cannot be copyrighted.
Well, you say that. I mean, dragons, you didn't think they could, but the red dragon, who else has come up with red dragons, green dragons? I mean,
Well, they're Teutonic, aren't they? The basic design.
Is theirs. I mean, it looks like a red dragon. You see a red dragon somewhere else, it doesn't. The D&D red dragon.
Sure, Wales
very much
might
like
have something to say about that.
Welsh dragon is completely different. But they don't. Yeah, that's different. If you look at the red dragon on the Wales flag or whatever it is, it doesn't look like the D&D red dragon. Because it did, they'd be having an issue.
But and also it's Wales, so they probably didn't care. Welsh people don't have feelings.
Oh,
well, we holidayed there last year, and that's the impression I got.
is that what we got?
You're running with that, are you?
No.
We tell me last next time. That's edited the fuck out.
So these iconic monsters, they're wrapped in, they're part of the system, and I think that's the appeal. So everybody who's been brought up with these stories and would have been introduced to.
I mean, this is the thing, and I think I said this earlier. You will recognise stuff from pop culture, from fantasy fiction, from there's a lot there to draw on. And of course, you can't copyright the concept of an elf. You can't copyright the concept of a gnome.
Yeah, and I think they're trying to introduce more of their own unique species into character choices. So the earlier editions of D&D, those would have just been the basic choices. But now you've got the Dragonborn, you've got the Tieflings.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah, a lot of new ones that are their IP. It's all rooted in fantasy archetypes and going back to Tolkien. It draws people in and it'll give you a little head start on what to expect if you've watched Lord of the Rings or just remember Greek mythology. Then these things have large influences within this setting, and they don't shy away from it. They're not trying to reinvent the wheel on a basic level. Yeah. And I think that makes it far more endearing to new players.
If you set a campaign or even a scenario in a setting, you want to keep it fairly faithful. So if you're setting one in the Greek pantheon, again, you're looking at race limitations, you've got particular types of monsters, do a bit of research, but don't have, an orc would have no place there.
So the last two we have here, Legendary Adventures, published modules like the ones we've discussed already, Curse of Strahd, Out of the Abyss, and more. These are masterpieces of storytelling.
Just to say, we spoke about Stranger Things, didn't we? We had Vecna. He was like in a story arc in first edition D&D, I think, and it's kind of these characters. Greyhawk, yes, definitely. And these are characters that have been in scenarios in D&D that have made mainstream media. So what can you say about legendary scenarios there?
Yeah, and they've been great in the past, but I'm of the belief, and I believe because we've spoken privately about this, Stephen, that this current edition of D&D, the campaigns and the adventures are really the best that we've found has ever been written for Dungeons and
because
Dragons.
they kind of give you the information you need as a DM as well. A lot of the previous editions did kind of leave you hanging a bit, but these have gone back to good writing and well detailed and gives you what you need to run the game. Yeah.
So for Barry, you may not know, in the past that the games that were created relied far more upon the DM to kind of come up with a lot of the plot hooks. They used to sometimes they were almost present in a sandbox. They were in second edition. These modules you've been playing, from our experience, from all of our play, this is probably the best it has ever been as far as the quality of story writing, the campaign and how they've been put together, and the ones that you've played in particular. You've
complete from what from a player's experience. I know that DMs put a lot of work in, but sometimes when it's going really well, when it's really well written, scenario, sometimes the DM can make it look effortless. And I think that is about the quality of the material that the DM has got. If they're not having to wing it, then obviously I think it's going to be a better experience, generally speaking, for players. From a DMing point of view, it's just so wonderful to have such a well-written campaign to rely upon.
Does make it easier, yeah.
Why would you want to sandbox that? Sometimes you just think, it's that good, just run with it, and then
gives you a good basis to then make stuff up if you want to.
So in our community, when we have new DMs come through, I'm always, and they know this because I tell them, I'm always hoping they say, I'm going to run with Curse of Strahd or Beyond the Witchlight, or this is what I want to do, and I want to run it by the book, and I'm going to, we're going to play it in a traditional sense. And I think brilliant, because if you do that, you're going to have unlimited players. You're just going to get anybody that comes through the door. Confidently put them with you, and they're going to stick. They're going to enjoy it, and that's power to the scenario. I always feel confident then, no matter how experienced they are as a DM, that it's going to work out for them. These scenarios give me confidence that the people that run in them, myself included, are going to be able to provide a good experience for the people playing them. And so the last thing here is community support.
People advertise online. Local papers will have your youth clubs and community centres. Always worth a look. Have a word with the person on the desk, because you might not be the first person that's asked if they've got a group, and they can put you in the direction of others. You could start your own. Mark did.
Well, not just me. The four of us. There's one guy missing from the OGs as far as our own community is concerned, but we all. We built that from scratch. In future podcasts, I want to detail how that was achieved and how you could go about doing that yourself. Something that anybody could do. So, we'll save that for the future.
Yeah, that obviously, with the DM, we specifically talked about Dungeons & Dragons. They had, obviously, the new edition has come out. That was play tested by the community. So, if you was involved in the Dungeons & Dragons community, you could have play tested the 2024 edition. Wizards of the Coast have on our website, so you can get alternative rules as well.
Yeah, and there's some really good podcasts, apparently.
The community resources is something that really appeals to me. And when I'm thinking of playing a class that I've never played before, I will find threads on, various social medias and stuff like that of people talking about how they built their character and what the pros and cons were of playing it that way. I also really love reading up on house rules that people have come up with. Some of them are really imaginative, and I'm like, I would love to play that. Yeah, in terms of the kind of community resources, for me, it is about players talking to players. I think that's a really important part of that community. And it's like, I wouldn't just rip someone's build, but it does give me ideas on like, okay, that's quite interesting. If you take that and that, it has this effect. And it's kind of stuff that I don't think you'd necessarily get from just reading it. I think having someone's perspective on it is really important.
And if you do the search, then there's always something there. Somebody has an opinion of.
Oh, absolutely.
It might be a good time to say that we have a Discord channel.
Yes, we have.
Oh my God, do we have a community?
It's just called RPG Blokes. There'll be an invite link at the end of this podcast or within the description. We're looking to people just to come in and talk about the kind of things that we've been talking about, maybe get some advice on the game, not just from us, but from you guys, anybody else that wants to input. We'll discuss what we can with you, and good time to advertise it. So to finish this one off, actually, I'm just going to ask each of you, because we've talked about 20 different things and we've probably added a few of our own along the way. What is your favourite thing about Dungeons and Dragons? Who wants to go first?
My favourite thing about Dungeons and Dragons are the dice.
Yeah, but the dice exist in every system. But I suppose,
they're not the same in every system, though, are they?
Yeah.
I mean, Well, no, they're not. Pool systems use D6s or D6. They're not the same.
You like the full selection, the full...
I like having every single solitary... 7 different... Okay, let me rephrase that. Is having 7 different shaped dice.
Earthdawn will blow your mind.
Oh, okay.
Well, John's dice bag would blow your mind from what we could tell.
John's dice bag will put my back out.
When it's done right, which most of the time it is, just the world building, the fluff. The system, that can come and go. Yeah. The world building stays. The characters, the backdrops, if you can imagine yourself in it, then that means it's A, written well, and B, you want to be playing. That's brilliant. All reffing.
Yeah. Okay, Stephen, your favourite element?
Well, I'll be very specific. I do love the magic items of Dungeons and Dragons. It is unique. I think it's any really other game that has that plethora of magic items that can make you feel special and warm inside. When you've picked up your 4-4 weapon, lovely, perfect.
I do love the magic system, magic items too, but my favourite, I think, is the scenarios, the campaigns. That's what I'm going to be left with. I think there's just the love of those particular games. We've done well there. We've sold D&D to the world, just what they need.
Not sponsored.
No, we've done that for free, guys. Remember that. So that's the end of another RPG Blokes podcast. We're getting boring, isn't it? I keep saying, go for it, Stephen. How do you want to do this?
Stephen, crack on.
So let's
slice some dice.